Hi guys, Tony DeGonia here. I am recording this demonstration on the control panel, the controller of the platform. This is the web interface. I'll be honest, I really like this interface. It's really clean and it gives you just a ton of information, as you guys probably could tell through my interview. I like thoroughness. So I like to be kind of detailed around stuff, which sometimes makes me a little long-winded. So I apologize for that. But I do appreciate all of you making time to hop on and interview me and give me the opportunity to potentially work with you guys at some point in the near future. I really hope that's what you find. But, if not, I just want you guys to know that I really appreciated and enjoyed the time I got to spend with you today. So we're going to start off by taking a look at the dashboard. And as we look at this, we see that we got a dashboard already populated. Now, as you look into this, there's several buttons here. You've got, obviously your LogRhythm logo, your dashboards, alarms, cloud AI, your cases, searches, and reports. And then when you go to the next row, you've got your dashboard filter, which is a classification name of authentication failure. You've got live streaming data, which you can pause with this button right here. If you wanted to set time frames, then you could set those time frames like a hierarchical time frame with a custom time range, or everything within the last 30 minutes, 1 hour, 3 hours, so forth and so on. If you wanted to add a widget to this dashboard, then you could do that right here. If you've made changes to the dashboard and you want to save those changes, then you can do that by clicking save. If you want to look at a different dashboard, then you can drop this down right here by clicking on either the text or on the dashboard icon, and you can scroll through here and look at any number of dashboards. All right, then you have your refresh button, a print button, or I'm sorry, that's a revert button, a print button, and a leucine filter button, which will drop in that leucine filter. And you can actually go in here and, change up what your filter is, make this particular dashboard around a particular, a very specific filter, like a common event, command, classification, action, those sorts of things. I'm not going to make any changes to this dashboard because it's not mine, and I don't want to mess anyone up. All right, so we'll close that out. Now we can take a look here, and something to note about this is there are certain default dashboards that come built in, like your compliance dashboards, things like that, right? I like compliance. I've been working with multiple different compliance requirements for several years now. And so this stuff, it interests me, and I kind of have an understanding about it. So we'll take a look at this. This is the ISO 27001 compliance. And we can look and see here that, we've got top authentication failures, top created account, ISO account management based on the ISO 27001 rules. We got FIM by file name, FIM by username, FIM by action taken. Top attacking hosts, config changes, just basically if you look at the ISO 27001 compliance, there are basically bullet point that dictate um, what you're supposed to monitor for, how you're supposed to monitor for it, and what's acceptable, what's unacceptable. And so that's essentially how this is set up. What I'm really even more familiar with than ISO 27001 is like PCI. I think everybody's got some familiarity with PCI, uh, but let's take a look here. PCI DSS dashboard. This is really, really interesting. Um, Here we've got suspect users, we've got FIM users, FIM activities. FIM stands for file integrity monitoring. You got your top audit, failures by account modification activity. Very, very good stuff. You can see that we've got I don't know, 363 policy changes in the last 30 days, I believe it is, that we're looking at. We've got, access granted configuration. Just from this alone, we could, look at, insider attacks and be able to drill down on some activity that might be going on that could potentially be malicious. Then we got our vulnerable applications, we got our malware attacks and threats. We've got our active vulnerabilities, uh, which is a great place when you're the guy or the gal that has to manage patching and update, that sort of thing. It's a great place to look because you can see here you get your vulnerabilities by severity, for Windows, and we can click on that and drill down and see those vulnerabilities. So we see that we've got vulnerabilities high severity. We've got our top classification, which is vulnerability. We got 5,100 of those. We've got top direction, it's unknown. The top entity impacted, which is primary site. Top host impacted. We can see here that we've got this host, which is severely impacted with about 3,800 vulnerabilities. And if we click on that host name and we look over here in the inspector, we can actually see, the host name, the IP address. We can see, it was impacted based on being the host, because that's what we clicked on over here. When you contextualize it, you can take this host name, you could run it through whois. You could run a trace on it, or you could run a team on it, and you get those results back. If you have a case that's open, then you could actually add it to the current case just by clicking on that button. And it looks like there may be a case open on this. And then for your IP investigation, you can run this through VirusTotal. If it were something that we're kicking off in the AI engine for threat intelligence, then this would show up and show you what that was. There's not anything currently. Therefore, there's no smart response required because there's not anything really malicious going on. If you needed to do a smart response, though, you could set it up to run with Carbon Black or whatever plugins you had invoked in the platform for the third-party applications and appliances that you have within your environment. Let's see here. So we could take a look down here on the lists, and on these lists, we can see that for critical gov, my IP address, doesn't look like it's on any of these lists. IP excludes, firewall denied, it's not on there. And then, of course, test. So, this pretty much shows you most everything you might want to see there. And so, yeah, this is what these vulnerabilities look like. So let's drop this down just a little bit. We'll take a look at a malware analyzed page. And so when we look at this, we see that we have some interesting stuff going on. We don't have any top objects, no top process names or top commands. But when we look here, we can see that we do have top objects in this widget, and we can actually take a look. So this is based on a CVE MITRE CVE, and it's CVE 2002 -1117, CVE 2000-1200. And so we could actually click on this and drill down. So we see that it's just this one object. And we can see that we've got multiple IP addresses impacted here. And we can pull those IP addresses up over on this side in the inspector and take a more detailed look. We can also take a look at the logs around this. There's 130 of these object logs. So we can actually dig into these and get a little more detail around what's going on. We see there's priority, there's single log per. And if we click on those logs, we can pull that up over in the inspector here and take a little bit more of a look. We could do an IP investigation with virus total, which may give us some more information. We can take a look at who is. Once again, trace or ping. We can see the host impacted. That's what we're looking at, is the host that's impacted. And this is the host name. All right. So basically, as we dig into this, these are just the things that we can find. These are events and actions. So the IP address for the host name for the host, and just a ton of other information here that we can take a look at. We see it's in the primary site. We see that it's a high severity vulnerability for Windows is the common event. Log source type is an API Qualys vulnerability scanner. So that actually came from the Qualys VulnScan. We see the object. We see the URL for the MITRE entry. And we see the version, which is Windows 10 Enterprise 64-bit edition. So this could be not a huge deal, but then again, it could be a gigantic deal, depending on the access that this device or user logged into this device has, because, if someone were able to exploit that vulnerability, it could spread across the entire network pretty quickly. If malware were to be downloaded and kicked off before that was caught, it could potentially propagate across the environment. The malware, ransomware, that sort of thing. So this is something that we definitely would want to put on the list to be upgraded and patched up here pretty quickly. Here's the raw log message. So if you wanted to see what that log actually looked like, and then inferred identity, it's got no inferred identity. So we'll drop this down, and then we'll kind of take it from here. So I'm going to go across these top buttons here, and we'll take a look. We've already been to dashboards, so we'll go to alarms now. So these little squares are called a card, right? And from here you can see basically your rate of alarm creation, that sort of thing. You can see, this is based on the last 24 hours. It's any status alarm. Entity is any, alarm rule is any, risk is any. So you could change these and drill down to see just what you want to see, right? So we could say, let's take a look at open, working, or escalated. We could change the entity if we had multiple entities in our environment. We could take a look at the risk level, which is essentially a value that's associated with an alarm based on the indicators of compromise and the identified potential threat, which is then calculated to create a numeric number, which helps to prioritize the alarm that's created. So, stuff that's like 90 plus, like we're going to look at here, this is like critical level stuff that you really have got to address pretty quickly. Otherwise, it could have catastrophic result in your environment. So we see that all of these are open. We'll take a look at this first one. We have some corroborated account anomalies within an AIE compromise. So somebody's already looked at this and left some notes in it. So let's take a look at these notes. All right. So these are the event data. We could take a look there and see some of the details. We could add this to a current case if we had a case open on this. If not, we could create a new case by clicking here. We could take a look at the event that are triggering the alarm. In order to create a new case, we would want to follow these directions. We're going to create a new case. We would want to add the playbook. We would want to end any RDP sessions. And then more than likely, if there were any smart response actions, we would want to take those smart response actions. That would be part of the smart response actions. And then update this by, entering any comments we might have. Looks like Leonardo Petrobarat has added case 45995 to this particular issue. Corroborated account anomalies and change status to opened. So it looks like Leonardo's taking a look at this currently. And it was added to that case. There was an alarm description that was added, and there's 3 or more unique behavioral anomalies. So I'm not going to dig into this a whole lot, just simply because somebody's working on it and I don't want to interrupt them. If we take a look here, though, we could see the AI engine rule, the correlation rule that kind of kicked this all off, that identified a potential threat. And we can see the rule ID, the rule group, the common event, classification, alarm on event, which is yes, and the risk rating, brief description, additional details, and then rule block 1, unique values observed, right? So I'm going to leave this where it is and let Leonardo handle that, and we'll move on to the next thing. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is the cloud AI. And if you take a look at that, this is where you can see your data stream that's coming in, users that are active, observations, and threat events. This is kind of like the artificial intelligence that's running all of this, that's creating the rules, that is enforcing the rules that are built on the use cases within the environment. So, we've got some anomaly type rules or anomalous type rules that are built in place that we see have some different or have some things assigned to it already, like a service for LogRhythm, Eat White, and we've got Natalie Jones, which are anomalous users based on the AI engine. And then, we have top anomalous events. And we'll click on one of these. And we can drill down into that. Based on the Natalie Jones card, we can see unusual number of new impacted hosts, unusual number of new origin hosts across the monitored IDs. And I believe we can even drill down here a little bit. We'll give that just a minute. In the meantime, I was running a search in the background from just a few minutes ago, and these are the results from that search, user details. So we were looking at Stephen.Jacobs, and this does not have an identity. So we've got some top classifications, and this was based on some authentication issues that I saw going on in the environment earlier. So we have, top classification. There's a bunch of access successes, and then there is some common events, primarily in file monitoring or file integrity monitoring. Looks like Stephen Jacobs was impacted on some issues that were going on in the environment. And we can see that the top hosts impacted, like Echo Test host. And then we've got, a finance server and a couple of other servers that looks like were impacted as well. And then the top hosts that were originating these issues look like they were the Echo Test host. Then basically, this appears to have been a user account that was deleted, a user logged off, and then some file monitoring events which occurred. Basically, access was granted on a finance projected earnings server, things like that, right? So we could dig into some of this stuff a little deeper, but for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Let me take a look at cases here. So once again, we've got these cards. These are case cards, and these will tell us about, priority fives, priority ones, priority three, all the different cases that are open cases, closed cases, open incidents, um, and then case history based on, information that's been entered from either testing um, or from work that's been done by one of the analysts. Um, and it looks like here's some notes added by Leonardo the on the case that we were looking at just a little while ago. So we'll take a look at an open incident here. If we look over at the inspector, we got some information that popped up, though it's not a ton of information yet. When we click on this priority one incident, looks like it's Palo Alto firewall. We can actually take a look at the evidence that we have right here, which is an evidence card. This was worked on by Peter McNaul, who added a set of logs. There is a log right there. I'm not going to click on that, but we could view all logs in the analyzer. We see the playbook that's been assigned. We see the owner's Peter McNaul. He didn't have anything on here. He could have, but that's okay. And then we can see, we could add a playbook to this if we wanted to. We can see the metrics, earliest evidence in a case, which was generated at 4:02 a.m. Or, yeah, that looks a little funny. Oh, 5:16:02 a.m. I was reading that wrong. I apologize. The case was created at 4:11 p.m. Case elevated to an incident at 4:15 p.m. Incident mitigated. It hasn't been mitigated as of yet. Time to detect was 10 hours 55 minutes, and time to respond is still in the works. So there's just quite a bit of information here that we could be looking at. We can actually click here and potentially drill down as a threat list communications. And that seems to be about as deep as we can go on that. Now, we were just talking about Natalie Jones, so I went ahead and ran a search on Natalie Jones in the system. We're going to move back to this real quickly. We click on that, and we can see the analyzation based on the username. It doesn't appear that Natalie Jones has logged in one time today. It was a successful login. Authentication was good. This was the laptop that was assigned. Top user login. We're just looking at the entire dashboard about Natalie Jones's login activity for the day. It was an authentication success. So there's really not much more to look at here. And this is part of the UBA analysis that the platform does. So let's move on to the next button here. So we've got our searches, and from here, there's tons and tons of different searches that you can do. It's all based on the search criteria on the filter that you put in place. So we can see that we've got some Palo Alto logs here. So let's take a look. This was already created, and it was created by just a general user, probably somebody doing a demonstration. So I'm going to take a look at this, and we're going to regenerate this Palo Alto logs search. And so it drops down here, and in just a second, it'll be done with the search query, and we can take a look at it. In the meantime, this does take a few minutes. It's querying a little over 1.1 million logs in the last 24 hours. So this is really like a big data process. It's going to multiple databases and just really working hard to gather the information for the output that we would want to see here. So as you can see down here, it still says that it's searching. And so now it's given us some results. So if we go and click on this down here, it will open a new page at the top, and it will give us a dashboard around those Palo Alto logs that we were just talking about. So this is primarily traffic logs allowed by the network firewall. And then we also see some DHCP release renewed, some general system messages, and things like that, right? We can see our top locations, United States, Virginia, United States, Fremont, California. We can see our top hosts that are reaching out to the internet, top classifications, which is the network allow, and then top locations impacted, which is Ashburn, Virginia. So people have been hitting Ashburn, Virginia more than any other place, it appears. And then, you can kind of scroll around this and see, all the other locations that have been impacted as well. Top hosts is basically like the top 10 hosts. They've been processing this traffic. Top log source type is Palo Alto logs, to the tune of about 30,000 of those. We could click on that and drill down, and it would pull up all those 30,000 logs right down here in the log generation. But I really don't want to dig into all of that just yet. However, if I wanted to, we'll just click on one. We could go over here to the inspector, and we could see all the details around that log. Everything up to and including, the actual raw log itself. So there you go. From here, we're going to move over and hit the last section, which is the reports section. And we're going to generate a report real quick. So I think what we'll look at first is just, we've got some weekly case metrics by time, roll-up summary. We've got some RMIT weekly reports that we can put together. Like I said, I like compliance, right? So let's take a look at the usage auditing event by user detail, and we'll take a look at that. And we can see over here in the inspector, this is covering NIST 800-53 with usage auditing, the name covered there as well, generation date, 7 a.m., 1/31/2023. Expiration date is 2/7/2023. So it looks like logs stay in the system for 7 days. It shows everything from the previous week. It's on Mountain Standard Time. And then here's the details in the description about the usage activity for NIST 800-53, any requirement that may have, things like that, right? So here we can actually download this report, and we'll open this report up when it's done downloading. And here's what the report looks like. So this is a pretty nice report. As they go, I've seen lots and lots of different report types. This is one of the cleaner reports, and it's basically usage auditing, event by user detail. So this would be something that if you were doing a NIST audit on the environment, then this would fill the marks for these different bullet points within the audit. So as you can see, it's several pages. We're looking at actually probably several. Nope, it's only 94. Good deal. There's 94 pages of a report that you've got right there and ready to go. It's not necessarily beautiful or sexy as far as the data that's populated, but the great thing is that it works, and it works very, very well. You're getting all the data that you're promised right here in the, straight from the environment. And the report ran actually very quickly for a 94-page report, as you can see. So with that, I'm going to conclude this demonstration, this very high level. We're going to include some of this stuff down here, and I'm going to package this up and drop it where you guys can check it out. I do appreciate once again the time that you've taken to spend with me today, and I hope this kind of gives you an idea of the abilities that I have to pick up with a new platform and give a demo on it. Obviously, as things go, this demonstration would get better and better, and it would also be a little different if I were actually talking to someone on this call. But yeah, this is I think the best I can lay out there for right now. And if you guys have any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have. All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.